Every market was impacted differently when the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic shut down the sports calendar. In Kansas City, Major League Baseball was about 2 weeks away from opening day. The Big 12 and NCAA tournaments were canceled after college basketball teams got in a full regular season. Hey, we got to experience a Super Bowl championship and parade in Kansas City with the Chiefs. But what about soccer? MLS teams had gone through training camp and opened the regular season. Every team had played 2 games, and none looked better than Sporting Kansas City. They'd won both and owned the largest goal differential in the MLS. And that's where things stand a month later. It's Friday, April 10th. This is SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. I'm Blair Kirchhoff, and the topic today is the future, present, and past of Sporting KC. I talk with Sean Goodwin, who covers the team for the Star, and about Sporting KC's great start and the roles newcomers have played. After a break, you'll hear from Sporting veteran defender and Kansas City and Matt Besler, who conducted a conference call with reporters on Thursday. I thought it was interesting what Besler had to say about what he and the team are doing and how he views a possible restart to the season. Finally, we're going to play some audio from the franchise's 2 MLS championships. Why not listen to some highlights of Sporting KC's and the Wizards' great moments while passing the time? So here we go. We're getting started with Sean Goodwin. Okay, Sean, you and I haven't talked since the beginning of the MLS season, and Sporting was off to a fantastic start. 2-0, one of 4 teams in MLS that was off to a 2-0 start. Everybody's played 2 games, and Sporting had the best goal differential of those 4 teams. And then, of course, the COVID-19 hit. Nobody's been doing anything now for about a month. But what a shame for Sporting to have its season suspended when it did. What was going on with them? The victories over Vancouver and Houston. Why were they playing so well?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge shame just because, especially after last season, to come out so strong this year and say, hey, we're here to mean business. The 2 wings, Vancouver and Houston, I won't say take them with a grain of salt because they were great wings, but they're definitely 2 teams expected to be at the lower end of the table this year. But nonetheless, the Vancouver game on the road, great win, and then you come to Children's Mercy Park against Houston, and you beat them 4-0, and yes, Houston, they have Tab Ramos, new head coach, and, they're kind of in a rebuilding phase, but even then, I mean, with Alan Pulido and, Gadi King, the 2 new guys, Kyrie Shelton even, they've looked really good going forward, so it's a shame we kind of came to a halt so early in the season.
Yeah, and those newcomers, they're scoring. I mean, they're not just there. They've contributed goals and playing really well. I mean, if there was a theme to those first 2 games, it was the newcomers.
Yeah, and I'm not completely surprised, but especially how quick it happened, perhaps. I mean, Alan Pulido, I still think he's a guy who the wingers are going to play off of, but I didn't expect him to be banging in the goals as quick as he has, and then right behind Gadi Kinder too, because in pre-season, you could kind of tell they were still figuring out how to work with one another. Sometimes they'd kind of go into the same space and they'd get a little congested. So for them to come out into league play and to be playing so well together and scoring goals, it was hugely promising for Sporting before this break. It will last for who knows how long.
Right. Well, let's talk about that. We just got off the phone with Matt Besler, and we'll play his interview question and answer session with reporters in its entirety after we finish talking and after a break. But Matt was asked about that and about how to stay sharp in during this shutdown period. I got to think, for soccer players, staying in shape is a whole different thing than for maybe players of athletes in other professional sports. And so much of their training is their their stamina, right? I mean, how many miles do they run every game? And so what did we learn about Matt and his teammates in this time of a shutdown? How are they staying in shape?
they have seemed to moved away from the whole idea of staying match fit and just staying fit at this point, kind of what you'd see in the off season, because I think they've realised we're not going to be playing anytime soon. I'm not going to be, running 7, 8 miles a day at high intensity just because you can't keep that up for the whole preseason plus or the whole break plus once they get back into play. So yeah, he mentioned Besler that they've been on Zoom, they've been doing yoga and kind of team fitness sessions and stuff. But I mean, I play soccer myself and I coach soccer to young kids, and it's not the same as MLS guys. But we've been doing practices over Zoom, and I know just how hard it is to actually do stuff for players when they're by themselves over a webcam. It's There's no competitive value. There's no teamwork. It's tough. So I can't imagine what these professional athletes are going through being stuck alone for such a prolonged period of time.
Yeah, Matt was saying that, look, in other sports, basketball, for instance, you can go out and shoot. There are things you can do on your own that that contribute to staying sharp. But soccer is a little bit different in that respect. You really do need teammates out there on a field to get anything done really from a workout standpoint, and that's
Mhm.
just not available to him or his sporting teammates. He also said that, and I didn't realize this, that everybody, because the season had started, everybody's in town except for Busio, who went
Mhm.
back to North Carolina, I guess, to be with his family, 17-year-old Busio. So, but I don't. The only advantage I would think, for everybody being here, is if when this ends, they can get going back. They can get back going on a moment's notice.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's hard to not get together even now. And it was something that Peter said last week how it's one, they want the players to be sensible, but even if they were to just go out in public to try and an empty field and train by himself or maybe with another player, but Sporting KC is a big deal in Kansas City. You know, people try to be sensible, but if these players are so in public, who knows? People might want to come up and take photos and get autographs, and it's not safe for the players. And we all know that this virus it doesn't discriminate. It can make athletes sick. So I'm sure it's tough for these guys to all be here and be living downtown KC and they don't have backyards. They should just be cooped up.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot of them have taken to social media. There's a few on Twitter and Instagram with some, what they're doing at home and how they're trying to pass the time
Hmm.
and stay in shape. That have been pretty entertaining. And Sporting's been doing a good job of pushing out some of those images as well. One of the things that Peter Vermes said last week, and it was suggested today on the call with Matt, is if and when we'll just say when the season resumes, you're looking at an abbreviated season in terms of just time wise and time space. So it would not be unusual to see a season where two games are played with only a couple of days, 3 days maybe off in between. So maybe a Saturday Wednesday
Hmm.
march of a schedule. And look, that's asking a lot from any soccer player, especially professional players. How would it, if it comes to that? How can a team manage that sort of schedule?
Hmm. Yeah, it's something that Peter mentioned last week as well, and I mean, we saw at the start of last season when Sporting was in the Champions League and they were playing, they had a starting the season earlier and you were playing MLS on the weekends, traveling to, Mexico or, the Bahamas for games in midweek basically for these Champions League games. And we saw the toll it took early season and Sporting never really recovered. Now, if that's league wide, different story, everyone's on a level playing field, but then we're just going to see all these teams absolutely shattered by the end of the season. So yeah, Max said it today. teams are really going to have to use their full squad's depth. Sporting is lucky to have SKC2. They can, delve into that pool if need be. And I think the one saving grace is with the shortened postseason, which started last year. MLS now does have a month buffer at the end of the season. We could see the season's still stretched out a little bit, and we have the MLS Cup back in December. So there's a few options, and it all depends, obviously, on how long this lasts. But it will be tough on the legs regardless.
For sure. Okay, Sean Goodwin covers Sporting Kansas City for the Kansas City Star and kansascity.com. Sean, thanks for taking some time and talking to us today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Matt Besler has won about every individual award in his 12-year MLS career. He's the club record holder in games and minutes played. He's been part of the U.S. men's national team, appearing in the 2014 World Cup. Matt spoke with reporters about how he and teammates are handling the downtime. Hey, before we get started, a word about the quality of the audio. It's not good. There are squeaks and wobbles and other strange noises. Look, nobody's fault. There were many people on the call using all types of recording devices, and sometimes this happens. But we thought Matt, what he had to say was interesting and important enough to include the interview, even with the technical difficulties. So here's Matt, who starts by responding to a question about the challenge of staying in shape and keeping he and his teammates on the same page.
Yeah, it's difficult. I would say the biggest challenge for us is finding some sort of routine. We're habit-based athletes and creatures, and we thrive in that environment where we have some sort of competitive routine, and that's thrown out the window right now. There's not a whole lot of routines anywhere, with family, with the team, with your daily life, meals. I mean, everything is just kind of crazy right now. So that's really the hardest part of, not only finding the time and the motivation to stay fit, but to be able to do it on a consistent basis. Whereas, when you're in season, everything's sort of happening at the same time each day. You come in the mornings and, you have your routines where you warm up and stretch, and afterwards you do your recovery routines and all those things. And, we don't really have access to any of that stuff. So we kind of have to find our own routines. And I would say the other challenge too is just trying to get everybody on the same page from a communication standpoint, because we're all from different parts of the country and different parts of the world, and we all kind of are experiencing this in a different way. And you have guys like Gadi Kinda, who actually, with his religion, he actually has to limit his use of technology from sun up to sundown. So it's really hard to communicate and actually just contact him, because a lot of the times, during the day, he's observing some of, his religious beliefs and his religious laws that they go by. So, yeah, I mean, just little things like that, just, cultural stuff that you have to deal with. But it just makes it a lot harder when you're not able to see people face to face.
Hey, quick question. With Major League Baseball trying to, propose sending all the teams to Arizona, I think NHL trying to go to North Dakota, NBA looking at Vegas, would you be in favor of the MLS potentially trying to send all their teams to one specific location in order to try to get back on the field as quick as possible? Or are you just completely against those type of proposals?
At this point, I'd be open to pretty much anything, at least looking into it and discussing it. I don't know if it would make a whole lot of sense for soccer to do what baseball is looking at. I don't know if it could work like that, but I mean, I don't know. I think most of the players right now are anxious to get back out on the field. And so, I mean, any way possible for us to start playing games sooner, we would be open to the possibility, but we're just like everyone else, really. I mean, we're sitting back and we're seeing some of these news stories come out, and we're following other leagues and kind of seeing what they're announcing. And we saw the other day that a couple professional soccer teams in Germany have resumed some smaller trainings and individual trainings, and so that was a positive sign to see. But yeah, I mean, we really haven't heard a whole lot.
Hey, Matt, it's Blair Kirkhoff at the Star. Hey, how about taking us through what's been a typical day for you? When do you get training in, and how do you do it? And I know you've touched on a couple of those things already, but how about just walking us through a day in confinement here?
So we do team Zoom trainings 3 times a week, and there's 3 different groups. So we have roughly 30 guys on our roster, and so we split up into 3 groups. So you got around 8 to 10 guys in each workout, and so that's 3 times a week. So my group, I'm in the first group, and those trainings are at 10:30. So 3 times a week, I train in my basement at 10:30 in the morning, and then the other 2 days you're on your own, and you can get that done whenever you want. But typical day for me is wake up with our kids. We have 2 young daughters, and spend about an hour with them getting breakfast ready and kind of starting the day, and then I'll try and break off myself if I can and get my workout in. Usually it takes an hour to 2 hours at the most, and then I'm back with my family for lunchtime, try and put the kids down, and then you have that hour or 2 where I'm doing a lot of stuff online right now with media, and there's a bunch of videos that we're trying to push out to try and keep everyone involved. There's also a lot of player union stuff that's coming out, and so just trying to stay up to date with that so I can inform the rest of the guys on the team. And then the rest of the afternoon is pretty much family time. We're trying to go outside as much as possible, just get some fresh air and have dinner, and that's pretty much it. I don't know if I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. I don't think I'd add anything else into kind of what a daily routine looks like. I have been interacting with the coaching staff a lot. I think Peter's done a really good job of staying in touch with most everyone. I know that he's called everybody on the team, a couple times, but I probably talk to Peter every couple days. Sometimes we're exchanging information, just with the latest updates that we've heard. Other times, it's a quick phone call, basically just to check in and make sure everyone's doing all right, and just checking in on the family. So the communication has been good.
Matt, it's Braylon from KCTV5. My question is just kind of, how are you handling this mentally? This has to be mentally taxing for you, especially when, the momentum was there. You guys were playing, and then automatically just nothing. That has to be mentally taxing for you to now kind of be in this weird limbo area.
Yeah, I think at first it was. When all this started happening, there was definitely a sense of frustration, just because, we had built such momentum and we put a lot of work into our preseason. And so, just to have something like this that's just completely out of your control, it is a bit frustrating, but, I think, I don't know, me personally, I'm kind of past all that now. I think we're much farther along than we were at the beginning. So I wouldn't say that I'm mentally frustrated anymore. It's pretty much, there's nothing we can really do about it. So, I think at first you were adamant about really trying to stay in shape, game shape as best as you could. But now it's been so long that we're going to have some sort of period where we get back into training, and we have at least a couple weeks, 3 to 4 weeks of another preseason. So I don't know. I mentally, I wouldn't say that I've dropped off at all, but I don't know. There's not a whole lot we can do anymore. So we just kind of have to wait it out and just try and stay positive and just be patient. I know that's a lot easier said than done at this point.
Hey, it's Blair. Hey, we have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns we have to offer. And it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. For your convenience, your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. A lot of subscription services won't tell you that. They'll just sneak it on there. We just told you. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening. So we've heard about the present and possible future of Sporting KC in Major League Soccer. Let's visit the past. The organization has won 2 MLS Cups, and we're going to play audio from both. The first came in 2000 when the then Kansas City Wizards defeated the Chicago Fire 1-0 in Washington, D.C. The star of that game and that season was goalkeeper Tony Meola. You'll hear him interviewed along with the 2-time MLS MVP Preki, and the last voice you'll hear is that of Wizards defender who helped author the shutout, Peter Vermes, now the Sporting KC coach. After the 2000 review, which is played in something of a documentary format, we'll fast forward to the 2013 MLS Final and the thrilling shootout with Real Salt Lake. We'll run ESPN's edited audio of every shot in that shootout. You'll hear the goals made and missed and the excellent play of Jimmy Nielsen, the goalkeeper. But first, here's how the 2000 MLS Cup Final sounded.
Kansas City was widely considered to have the best defense in MLS. However, the analysts and sports critics were overwhelmingly predicting that the Chicago Fire, with the league's best offense, would emerge victorious.
I always prefer to be underdog because everybody's going to be focusing on them. Everybody thinks they're going to win against us easily. We're here to prove them wrong, and I like the way we are.
Today is just about us. We're the only guys that can do something about today, and we're going to reap all the benefits of today.
Let's make sure that we take advantage of this opportunity.
You guys know what it means. 1, 2, 3.
The Kansas City Wizards will have the kick to begin this game. The Wizards won the Supporters' Shield.
We have 90 minutes to get the job done and just give everything you got.
Schwarzkopf on the left, the drive in the crossbar, it goes out.
Kansas City goalkeeper Tony Meola was focused and confident. Meola was coming off a stellar 2000 season. He had recently been awarded the multiple honors of MLS Goalkeeper of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and League MVP.
When you go up against a team like Chicago, the highest scoring team in our league, you have to be ready to do some work.
Plays it short, Armas can tee it up, the drive, deflected, side Meola!
In both the regular season and playoffs, Kansas City had proven that they were almost impossible to beat in matches in which they had scored first.
Goes over the top!
The Wizards believed that the side that scored first would take the day.
If we score first, I think we're in the driver's seat because all year long when we score, I think we have very tough to break down.
In the 11th minute, Kansas City's strategy would begin to fall into place. Chris Klein made a strong solo run down the right flank. His cross would set up Dutch dynamo Miklos Molnar in the box.
He scores! Miklos Molnar! Midfield play, and Klein makes it happen for the Wizards, who strike in the 11th minute.
The Wizards had made their stand and successfully held off the relentless Chicago offense.
Paul Tamburino ends it! The Wizards, last in the West, have won it all!
The underdog Kansas City Wizards had come together, defeated Chicago, and claimed their first MLS title.
20-6, the final shots, but 1-0 the final score.
Tony Meola's shutout had earned him the game MVP title and capped off an amazing season. After the game, Miklos Molnar and Mo Johnston would announce their retirements. But for Kansas City, The celebration was just beginning.
That was the 2000 MLS Cup. Here's ESPN's call of the long shootout that gave Sporting Kansas City the 2013 championship.
It's Biela against Rimando. And Biela definitively rifles it into the back of the net. First blood, Kansas City. He's taken for RSL. This is Sabarillo against Nielsen, and he's missed! Nielsen didn't need to save it. Sabarillo putting it too high. Advantage, Kansas City. Nagamura sending Rimando the wrong way and sending Sporting Kansas City 2 goals to the good. Desperately needs to score here to keep RSL in touch. Grab a ball and saved by Nielsen. Kansas City edging closer. He's hitting it. Besler saved by Rimando. Hope still for RSL. Now Kyle Beckerman to give RSL some real hope. If he's successful, and he is. Pretty much went down the middle. Jimmy Nielsen away to his left. Harbour versus Rimando. Jackpot for Benny Feilhaber. High down the middle. And enough to beat Rimando. Almost an angled approach. Plata! Wow. With some aplomb too into the roof of the nets. Can he deliver from 12 yards and deliver a trophy for Sporting Kansas City? He can't! Would you believe it? He's put it over the top. It was there for the taking. Morales to keep RSL in contention. Little stutter step. How cool was that? Sinovic left-footed against Rimando. Sinovic! Sweet indeed for the Cauldron. Sending Rimando the wrong way. Brishula gets Nielsen, and this penalty kick shootout continues on. RSL. Sapong. And again, cool as you like. It's some exquisite penalty taking and sudden death. Oh, and he put it in off the post. The narrowest of margins. Olam for Kansas City. Oh, he's missed. Despair for Lawrence Olam. Delight for the travelling RSL fans who now have a chance.
Christ, could be a hero.
Can he deliver the trophy for RSL? No, he can't! It goes on and on. Jimmy Nielsen to the rescue. Now it's Chance Myers against Nick Rimando. Myers sending Rimando the wrong way. The two UCLA products. Wilson trying to make himself as large as possible in goal. Borges right down the middle. And on we go. Trying to beat Rimando. Colin has done so. What a penalty. Lavelle Palmer to keep RSL alive. To deny Kansas City one more time. Can he do it? Palmer! He has it! And the trophy belongs to Kansas City!
That'll do it for today and this week. Thanks so much for listening. And a big thanks to our production crew of Derek Donovan, Savannah Smith, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, and Chris Fickett. Randy was the lead surgeon who stitched together today's show. Thanks a lot, Randy. And a cap tip to Sean Goodwin for providing his Sporting KC expertise. Hey, you've heard me say it all week, and I can't emphasize it enough. A subscription to the Kansas City Star's digital product is a win-win. You get the region's most complete coverage in news and sports, and we get your support. So there's the Sports Pass that I mentioned earlier, and then there's the digital subscription to all the Star has to offer by accessing account.kansascity.com/subscribe. That's account.kansascity.com/subscribe. That subscription gives you access to another sports podcast, Mellinger Minutes for the Ears. It's great stuff. It's one of my go-tos during a walk. Sam, our columnist, Sam Mellinger, has some great guests, and he answers audio questions from readers. I highly recommend Mellinger Minutes for the Ears. We'll be back next week for more episodes of Sports Beat KC, where we talk sports in Kansas City every day.